Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for another exciting and fun-filled episode on this Passagemaker dinghy build series. We've got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alright then, sorry about maybe there's definitely echo in here. We got the AC running, probably poor lighting. I'll do my best to show you we'll try to get this side at least. But I'm underneath the boat, putting in the fillet along the underside of the middle seat. Last night I did get a chance to do a light sand on this and then vacuumed it and wiped it down this morning. It's pretty warm in here today, even with the AC running this morning. So I'm probably be doing a bunch of different batches of epoxy just so they don't go off on me too quick. I hope this is enough to do this seam here. Alright, I got the underside of that seat done. Not my finest work, but with the lighting and the contortions to get in around in there, it's good enough. Maybe we'll show you that one day, but not today. So anyways, yeah, so next up are the Skeg. So they send you these pieces in half, and you have to put them together and glue them together. Now I had thought about doing a couple of drill and then put some dowels in here, but I think that we'll forego that, mainly because it's starting to get warm and and I just want to get this done. So we'll forego that. So my plan is to put the two together, smear some thickened epoxy on here, put them together, and then use my long level here that I've got. It's a nice straight edge along the edge of the Skeg here, and then clamp it down 3 or 4 spots along the way. I put masking or packing tape on the bottom of this level, so hopefully we don't get anything there, and then we'll just come along the edge and hopefully we'll get it mostly straight and mostly lined up between the two. So I'll mix up some, this is the cellofill epoxy, probably 4 pumps ought to do it to mustard consistency. Alright, hopefully this is enough. Got a spreader here somewhere, another of these guys. Just a little bit more. Alright, well here goes nothing. Alright, well I better stop messing around with it before it gets out of alignment. Alright, now I'm done. So I'll go ahead and let this dry. Should be even done this afternoon. And I still need to do denatured alcohol on the fillet I did on the underside of the seat. And then I need to take a look and see what's next on the list of the build here, see if we can get ahead a little bit. The temperatures are really starting to warm up, so not sure. It's going to be a tough one to see if we can get it done before the real heat kicks in. We'll see. Anyways, I'll pause here and be back later. Alright, it's much later in the day, and I believe that this Skeg has epoxied together pretty well, and I think we should be able to go ahead and take it off. I don't think I explained it well enough. The reason I put the long level on here, even in the manual, they talk about the Skeg having character. Well, I think what they're talking about is having it warped one way or another a little bit, and then having to adjust for it. So hopefully by putting this long level on top of it, we've minimized any kind of warpage or twisting or anything like that. We've got a nice straight Skeg here to put on. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, it is still just a little bit twisted right in here. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick that up or not, but it's not by much. It's got a pretty good bend in it right there. So yeah, so when you put it on, they're telling you to move it around to get it straight. But the first thing I got to do is get this cleaned up, and they say to round over the edges. They don't say to use a router, but I think I'm going to, at least on the handle, I think I'm going to use a small router, and maybe on the top, I don't know, we'll see. It's got to be sanded anyways. Get some of the squeeze out done, or out of the way, and get it cleaned up. So let me go ahead and pause here. I'll get to sanding this up. I'm not sure I'm going to have time tonight. They do have you go through a dry fit on the boat, and I might start that, but I'm not sure I'll be ready for doing that tomorrow morning or not. We still got plenty of other stuff to do, so I may, just looking at this, you can see the bend in it, and maybe I'll try to do something to get that bend out overnight. Maybe prop this end up and put something here to wedge it down, or maybe do something to see if we can get the character out of it. Yeah, let me get sanding here. Alright, I got a good start on cleaning up this Skeg. Got to the handle part here, and there's quite a bit of squeeze out in there, but this rotary tool with the drum sander on it made pretty darn quick work, and pretty good work of that. So now I've got a, what was this? I think this was a 1/8 inch round over. Must be the 1/8 inch round over in the router, and I want to route out the inside part of that handle. So let's see if we can get this done without doing too much damage. Yeah, I think I need to move up to just a little bit bigger round over bit there. I think I've got a 3/16 maybe. Let me check, see what I got. Needs just a little bit bigger round over bit, I think. Yeah, the next size up I've got is a 3/16. Don't think I've even used that one before. Yep, still in the bag. Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. Let's see if we can set it so that it's not too bad. Let's try that right there. That ought to do it. Yeah, it still needs some sanding up, but I need to flip it over and do the other side. Like I said, it's coming along pretty good. Just a couple of touch-up areas. Got a little bit time left here. I might at least start thinking about it, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get to do the Skeg install tomorrow morning. to put it in, you got to put thickened epoxy down and the whole epoxy thing. So I think I'll plan on getting this cleaned up and start looking at the installation, and then tomorrow we'll do the dry fit. I can do some other stuff, and then we'll do the Skeg installation maybe the day after that. So I'll pause here. We'll be back in a little bit. All right then, so the instructions have us putting a string down the center of the boat and then measuring 3/8 on either side of the string, and then marking at 10, 20, 30, and 40 inch mark and drilling holes there, and then putting the and then on the 3/8 inch side, lining that up, and then drilling some holes. Now it looks to me, yeah, so you can, I don't know if you'd be able to see it, but the very end of that is like we saw his boat a little bit, and it seems to be pretty flat along the bottom of the boat, and we'll be putting thickened epoxy in there. I think the biggest challenge is to get it straight. See if I can get it to stand up here. You can see it wants to lean that way because of that bend up there. Maybe you can see it there, a little bit of a wobble there at the end, the character as they call it. So I'm not sure how I'm going to get that in place. I could drill the pilot holes now. I guess they're just 1/8 inch pilot holes, and I'm pretty confident that I've got the center. It's kind of interesting on the daggerboard trunk, where it's probably just a little bit off here, but we're pretty close. You can see we're on one side on this, and then on the other side on this, but this front one was the one that was off a little bit. So I think we're probably, the center is probably right about there, and then so I think we are canted a little bit on the daggerboard trunk. Maybe it'll give us better performance going one way than the other with the daggerboard down. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna think about this a little bit more tonight, and then come out tomorrow and see if we can figure out how to do the dry fit. I'm thinking right now that some tie-down straps or something are going to be in order here to get this straight. But I do want to try to see if I can straighten it out a little bit tonight. I've got it sanded down pretty good. It came out okay. We'll be epoxying the whole thing later anyways. Yeah, so that after you put the Skeg in, then the next step is to epoxy the whole boat. The whole exterior of the boat. So I got some work to do there. Yeah, I got quite a bit of cleanup that I want to get done before we epoxy it, and the whole boat, and that's going to be a chore and a half. So anyways, yeah, we'll pause here. I'll be back out tomorrow, see if I can figure out how to do the dry fit on this, and then I'll probably be working mostly on getting the exterior of the boat ready for a coat of epoxy. I think they actually want 2. I'll have to look at that again. There's just some spots, and again, we'll be going for smooth up to this plank here, and this last plank will be varnished, and the rest will be paint. And so we'll be going for smooth and fair on this part, except for this last plank, which will be varnished. So got some work to do in the front here. I want to get rid of that thickened epoxy that I put in there. It's a little bit darker. I don't like that. But yeah, got lots to do, so I'll pause here. We'll be back tomorrow. All right, well, I got a little bit of a late start this morning, but we're out here working on it now. So getting the markings down for the Skeg, to be honest with you, this is my I think this is my third go at it here, but I think I'm pretty close now. A couple of the keys here. First off, this string needs to be really tight. I got it just about as tight as I could get it. The other thing was, so they want you to put the center line in and then measure 3/8 inch on either side of that center line. Well, you touch it a little bit and it moves. So anyways, what I did is, and so 3/8 inch on either side is 3/4 of an inch, right? So that's the width of the finished skeg. So what I did is I made up a just a little block of wood, 3/4 of an inch, just a shy under 3/4 of an inch, and then put a groove down the middle of it so that I could set it down and make some marks, and then connect the marks on with a straight edge. And so yeah, so it's not perfect, but I think it'll give us a pretty good guide on when we install the skeg. Now the other thing, and I was thinking about it last night, and they even show it a little bit in the diagram here. Let me show you here. So they want you to put in a hole 10, 20, 30, and 40, but the 20, right? So this is where our bulkhead is at, and the 20 is just would be right about here. I've actually moved this up to 20 3/4 just to give me an extra little bit of room past that bulkhead, because from underneath I've got to come past that bulkhead and drive in a screw. So I don't know why they didn't. even in the picture here, you can see that the 20 inch is pretty close to the bulkhead. Now it looks like it's at an angle to the bulkhead, so you might be okay, but I came out this way another 3/4 of an inch. Probably not a big deal, but that's what I did anyways. And so they tell you to now drill the pilot holes here somewhere. Drill through and then put the skeg on, and then come back up from the bottom with another pilot hole and number 8 screws up from the bottom. So they start talking about 2 or 3 people helping you. That ain't gonna happen. So we'll have to do this. Probably figure out some other ways to do it. It cracks me up. Skeg installation is far easier to do than it is to describe. Okay. All right. So anyways, let me. I'm gonna take the string off now. I'm gonna drill the holes, and then put the skeg on for the first fit, and see how we can get this thing lined up. So let me get you set up, and we'll get going on that. All right, first up is the holes. Let's get this out of the way. Just gotta love drilling holes in the bottom of your boat. Now let's give this a try. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Here, let me show you this. All right, so we're pretty good there. We're right on the lines all the way up, and then at the front there you can see it's skewed off that way. All right, that's good. So let me, like I said, I got to figure out how I'm going to hold this down. The next step is to get underneath it and come up. So I think I'm going to have to raise it back up, raise the boat level back up, and then see what we can do to fix this down. So let me get at that. And Harbor Freight tie downs for the win. Yes, I think this is gonna work pretty good. I was able to get these tie downs hooked along the edge of the boats. Hopefully we're not screwing up the edges too much here. Never know with some of my shenanigans. But yeah, so anyways, I've just got them hooked on along the sides there, and then coming over, and they're pretty tight. And we are square all the way along see if we can get this. Here's a shot. Yep, nice and square all the way along, and it even looks pretty straight. I'm within the lines mostly, so, and that far end is straightened right out. Let's take a look at it from the other direction. Yep, there might still be a little bit of a bow in there, but for the most part, that has got to be close enough for government work. So now the next step is to go underneath the boat and drill pilot holes up through. Now when I do that, I'm going to do one, come back out, make sure I haven't moved anything, and do the other one, and come back out and repeat the process. The only one I want to make sure I'm careful of, so we got 10, 20, 30, 40. Yeah, it should still be okay. I think the 40 is in here somewhere. I just don't want to drill up through the whole bottom of the Skeg, so that should still be good. They've got us using 1.5 inch number 8 stainless steel flathead screws. Now, they say to drill up underneath with a pilot hole and countersink. I'm not going to countersink. I didn't countersink back on these either. They went in kind of mostly flush, but when we get ready to do this epoxy here, those screws are coming out. So the deal with stainless steel, yeah, it doesn't rust unless it doesn't have any oxygen. So if we were to epoxy over these guys, they're sealed on the inside, they're going to rust. So yeah, it would take a while, but anyways, that's I'll take these screws out when we get to do the epoxy here, and then for these, before we do any kind of finishing work inside, put the seats on or anything, these will come out. The screws are, I'm hoping, are just there for installation, right? It's the epoxy and the bond that should be holding these down. At least that's my theory, and that's what I'm sticking with. So we'll see how that goes. I'll pause here. Let me see. Not sure if I'll be able to show inside or not, drilling the pilot holes. It's not good light in there. So yeah, we'll go ahead and pause here. I'll get the pilot holes drilled, and we'll be all ready to come back out and do glue up on the Skeg. In the meantime, maybe I'll go ahead and today and do some work on getting the cleanup done on the outside of the hull for getting ready to epoxy the whole darn thing. So I'll pause here and be back later. All right, well, good thing I went ahead and looked here. So on the manual, they've got you doing the Skeg, and we're all through with that except for doing the epoxy, and so that's good. Then the next step they've got us doing is coating the exterior with epoxy, so that's going to be a chore. But yep, that's not a problem. We can do that. And the very next thing, they have you installing the bottom skids. So this is after you've put the Skeg in and epoxied, and now they're coming back and telling you to put the Skegs in. I'm not sure about this. The scuffing up the epoxy where the skids will be installed, they're on the bottom. Then they got you doing the measurement from the center line. Well, if we've got the Skeg in, that getting that center line is going to be a lot more difficult. And then drilling some holes. And these skids are going to be fun just in themselves. So they give us these two boards. I've got them pretty much where they're going to be here. They're 2 boards, so they run parallel with the center line. They don't look it now, but they're pretty close to where they'll be. There's going to have to be quite a bit of bending in them. And also there's going to be, they want you to do shaping on the edges and the front. Looking at, they don't really tell you how much, but looking at the manual here, it looks like there's it's quite a bit around over there. Try to see on this one, these are upside down. You can kind of see there's a pretty good angle on the front, and down here these almost look like they're 2 rounds that it's like a dowel that's been cut in half there. The curve so tight on it. But so anyways, I'm glad I figured that out so that I could put the line back in for the center line. And then I've gone ahead and where's it at? What did I do? Oh yeah, it's right up here. So they tell you to get the center line in place and then come out that the skid should be a 7.5 inches from the center line, the center of the skid. And they have you do, they tell you to come out, oops. they tell you to come out 7.25 and mark the inside edge. Well, it's a lot easier to see the outside edge. So I went with 7 7/8 so I could see the outside edge here and get that lined up. And the way I did that was, again, I took a piece of wood and then put a groove in it. And then with that groove in it, I could go ahead and get that groove over the string and then come out and mark the end. This is 7 7/8. They're almost right there. So that's I got the outside spots, and then they want you to put I still need to measure it. They want you to put a screw at each end from about 1 inch from each end, and then 2 in the middle, equally spaced. Well, it's 41 inches long. We take off 2 inches for the screws at the end. That's 39 divided by 3 is 13, plus the inch that we took off from here, so 14. So we got 14 for the other 2 screws. So they got 4 screws. Now you can see that there's quite a bit of bend there. I'm hoping after I do I'm going to route the edges and do some sanding on these today to get these shaped up. And I'm hoping after that we'll be able to move them a little bit easier. Also, I'm not sure if it'll show up here, but they've got their own character, if that's what they want to call it. They're warped pretty good. This one here in the center, you can see it's warped at the end down there. It's warped to one side pretty good. So that's going to be an adventure trying to get those in. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and like I said, they want you to put these in after you do the epoxy in for the whole boat. Now, I can't figure out why that is. I might even give them a call on this one. But I am, it's a minimum today, going to drill the holes for these and then start shaping them up to round them over, get them smooth. I don't know if we'll do a test fit on them or not, but I know I'll be using the tie down ratchet straps for these to get these kind of in shape for putting the pilot holes in them before we put them on. So anyways, let me pause here. I'll get busy. I'll drill the holes, do the shaping, and we'll be back later. All right, then another bright early morning here, and we're all ready to put the Skeg on. I've already put thickened epoxy on the underside here, and it's the tropical hardener is what we've got here. It's 75 out here already this morning. so yep. Now the other thing is I've really layered this on there. They want a 3/4 inch fillet on the bottom when we put this on. So this is going to be a mess. So let me get the back set here first. We know we're going to have to do some adjustments here once we put the strap over it on the front. Now I just need to get the strap over without it falling over first. Close enough there. Let me get another strap on here. Well, that looks pretty darn good to me. This might not quite be tight enough. Oops. Alright, now it's time to see if I can get some screws in here from underneath. I'm going to see if I can just get them started before I tighten them down here. Alright, how's that look? Ooh, got some more squeeze out, that's good. Geez, I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. Alright, now it's time to put the fillet in. They want you to put a 3/4 inch fillet in, which is, I made up a new fillet tool. That's gonna be a lot of epoxy to put in here. Alright, so I need to make up a big batch of thickened epoxy and get it in here and then smooth it out. I'm gonna leave the straps in for now until I get probably do this back section first and the 3/4 inch. So when we go, how the heck's that gonna work? I'm gonna have a fillet all the way up to the top, past the top here. Alright, we'll have to figure that out. Let me get some more epoxy mixed up and get that fillet in. But before we do that, I do have some clear epoxy here that I made up to when I put the thickened epoxy underneath the dagger board. I had pre-wetted it out, so I'm gonna just use some of this epoxy along the sides here. Well, that's a new first for me. Put the thickened epoxy in a bag, and the bag's inside out. So I can't zipper lock it shut. And it's a big old bag. That's alright, we'll get by here. We don't need that zipper top anyways. Alright. Alright, these straps got to come off. Alright, that's going to have to do for that side. I can't spend too much time worrying about. Hopefully we'll be able to come back and do denatured alcohol on this one, because this is a big one. I don't know if I've got enough thickened epoxy left here. Alright, well that's going to have to do. Looks pretty even. We'll come back, like I said, with some denatured alcohol, and this side's definitely, I got to give it one more pass. I just can't. I just can't. Alright, now I'm really done. Just got to put everything down and stop. Just got to stop. That's all I got to do, is just stop. Just stop. Yep, alright. Good, I'll go ahead and get cleaned up, and we'll be back in probably an hour or two to do the distilled or the alcohol on the fillet there, and see if we can get that cleaned up. But we'll go ahead and pause here for now and be back later. Alright then, it's later in the day, probably mid-afternoon or something like that. Anyways, it's still just a little bit, you can feel it's not quite all the way dry yet, but it's close enough. I've done the alcohol, the distilled alcohol, and not looking too bad on this side. A couple bobbles down there, but not too bad. This side's a little bit more lumpier, but still I think I can live with it. Not too bad overall. So I think the skeg is mostly straight, and down pretty good. So I think we did a good job on that. Yep, real happy with that. All right, so just to make sure, I went ahead and sent an email to CLC Boats. They've got a good customer service. Some of these questions I should be, you know, my different thinking here, I should have probably been asking them. But for this, for this skids here on the front, I wanted to know why I couldn't just put them on now before I did the epoxying. I couldn't think of any reason why I couldn't put the skids in now, and sure enough, I can put the skids in now. I said I can put them in anytime I want after I've got the fiberglass down here on the hull. So I don't know. Anyways, I think I'm done asking them questions and just gonna do what I want to do anyways, which is what I usually do. So anyways, I hadn't drilled the holes yet for these. I did go ahead and shape up the skids here a little bit. Let's see. So I rounded off the ends, and I did use the router on the sides to give it a little bit of shape. And just a little bit. Wasn't quite as aggressive as what they showed in the manual. The few pictures and glimpses I could get. so anyway, so good. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes first, and I'm going to use the straps here to see if we can get this strap down and do a dry fit. And I'll put the I don't think I'll put the screws all the way in, but I'll get them started at least, and we'll get this all set up and ready for gluing up tomorrow morning. And earlier today, I did go ahead and get the front finished, and this side is mostly finished for sanding in preparation for the coats of epoxy coming up. And I did finally get the de-waxer surface prep from Total Boats, so we got that now. So that Skeg will need this done on it before we do the epoxy. And then for the epoxying the whole boat, I will be using the other epoxy, not the tropical hardener. I'll be using the regular epoxy. I'll just do small batches, lots of small batches, and that way I don't have to worry about the de-waxing. So yeah, so I still got some cleanup to do there. But anyways, let me go ahead and get ready. I'll get prepped for this skid install, and we'll be back in a little bit. I did mark the skids on which side. So this is A side and that's B side. One of the, I was just looking at it and I was a little bit perplexed. The lines that I had were shorter than what the stick was, and I was like, oh yeah, well I sanded it and I probably took a little bit off the each end a little bit. It looks like about 1/4 of an inch, so that's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and cheat it so that the front is where I had it, and then we'll go from there. But let me get these holes drilled. You know, best thing about this project is drilling holes in the bottom of the boat, I guess. I don't know. Let me just take one last look here, see if they're pretty close. They look pretty close. I mean, how many times have I looked at this? Do I really need to look at it again? If I could find my tape measure or ruler. All right, this side's good. All right, hopefully this center strap will keep the board somewhat in line. I was worried I might have to put another board across here or something to hold these in place, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, I was afraid of this. These straps can't get tight enough to put enough pressure to get these skids down. So let me see if I can figure something else out here. See if these guys will do it. Got some, just some wedges, plastic construction type wedges. Let's see, let's go this way. I think I'm gonna have to get closer to the edges here though first. The problem in the back one here though is the skeg that I just put in might be in the way. Let me see if we can get this loosened up a little bit and move back right to the end. And I'm gonna put some cardboard underneath these ratchets. I just realized I might be scarring up the boat a little bit more than I want. Yeah, I should be able to get a screw in and get that tightened down enough. Let's see if I can get one in on the other side. Good deal. This is going to be a mess putting these in, I can tell that. Alright, put a piece of tape on the drill. This is these are 3/4 inch screws that I'm putting in. So I put it a little over a 1/2 inch just so that I don't come up through the other side of these, which is something I would probably do given my own free will. Alright, now to see how bad I screwed up. Anybody see any of them move? Let me know in the comments if you saw them move. They're off of whack here, out of alignment. Tempted to take the straps off and see if they hold, but I didn't drive the screws in all the way. I just kind of set them in until they got to the head. So I think I can see this one's bowed a little bit to the inside, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think we're good. I'm going to take the screws off, take the straps off, do a little bit more sanding today, and then we'll come out tomorrow morning and see if we can get these installed back in the right spot. So I'll pause here and be back. Okay then, another early morning out here in the shed. Time to put the skids on the bottom here and see if we can do that without making much of a mess. But we're going to go ahead and end this video up here first. So if you want to see what kind of mess I make, you'll have to watch the next video. This one's kind of running long. Wanted to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me, and please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.